Hi everyone! Today we're going to be going over 5 useful Python libraries that will help you when you're just getting started in machine learning research, or just if you're playing around with machine learning models in Python. Now you may be wondering, what is a library? A library is essentially a collection of different functions that can be reused in any program. They're useful because you can just call chunks of code from certain libraries instead of rewriting it yourself. In this video, I'm going to go through 5 libraries that you should know, what they do, and how to access their code. So the first library I'd like to talk about is called NumPy, and NumPy stands for Numerical Python. It's used to work with very large multidimensional arrays, which is usually the format in which your data will be stored. Here's how you import it. You can just say import NumPy as NP. And here is a sample function that you could call from the library. So in this function, I am creating an array with the help of NumPy, and I'm inputting the elements 1, 2, 3, and then I'm printing the shape of the array, all with the help of NumPy. The second library I'd like to talk about is called Pandas. Pandas is really important for data manipulation. So basically, you can use it for anything that has to do with your data. For example, if your data is stored on your computer as a CSV file, Pandas will extract it from your computer and store it in a data frame, which you can use in your code. It also lets you clean your data, in which you can remove missing or unnecessary rows, and you can also calculate patterns in the data, like the mean, the correlation, and the distribution. You import it as import pandas as PD, and here's a sample function that you could use pandas in. So in this case, you're creating a data frame by using the read CSV function to extract values from the purchases.csv file that is stored on your computer, and you're using pandas to do it. The third library we'll be talking about is called scikit-learn, and scikit-learn is probably where you're going to be getting most of your machine learning algorithms from. And since this is such a big library, you wouldn't import the entire library, you would just import the specific modules and functions that you're going to be using. So for example, if we're using the linear regression function, then we would just import from sklearn.linearModel, import linear regression. And here is how you would use a linear regression function. So you would assign it to a variable. I'm just calling mine regression. You can call it whatever you want. And I am using the linear regression function over here and fitting it to my x and y data. So the next library is called matplotlib, and matplotlib is really important for data visualization. So you can make confusion matrices, you can graph your data, you can change the colors of your confusion matrices, and you can make it look really nice and really pretty, so that other people can also understand what your data is communicating. So you import it as import matplotlib.pyplot as plt. So in this case, you're also importing the pyplot module from the matplotlib library. And then you can use the matplotlib library to create graphs. So for example, in this case, you're using plt.plot. So in this case, you're plotting the data frame insert name. So you're plotting the column called insert name that I just came up with from a certain data frame that's called df, and you're plotting it as a graph. And you're using matplotlib to do that. So lastly, but certainly not least, is TensorFlow. And TensorFlow is a really important library. It was created by Google engineers to make neural networks a lot more accessible to people who maybe don't have a coding background. So TensorFlow is basically where you're going to be getting your neural networks from. And you can import TensorFlow as TF. And you also have to import datasets, modules, and layers, and maybe even other functions from the TensorFlow.keras module. And then you would use TensorFlow by creating a variable called model, which is what I'm storing my model in, and then I'm just using the models function to create a sequential model to train my data. So while you should be getting familiar with these 5 machine learning libraries, there are many more useful ones out there, and you should also choose ones that are specific to your project. But these are 5 libraries that I'm pretty sure you'll be using in almost every project. If you have any questions, please comment below or email us at contact.aiinspired.org. Thank you.